Today I'm gonna be sharing you some damage tips that only 1% know. Some of these tips you most likely heard of, but some of them will be very unique. Starting off with the first tip. If you are a chef class, which is the best class in the game for DPS, you can eat 2 food buffs and 2 drink buffs. And I'm gonna tell you the secret to the recipe. If you go to creative cooking, if you just put in dirty water together with boiled water, put an orange in, and then put your preferred meats. I prefer deer meat because it gives you the most damage out of everything. Then do creative cooking. After cooking, you will get large fresh juice, which can be used as a drink buff for extra damage. Now, as you can see, you can make any type of meat as you want. It could be shrapnel, could be deer meat, but again, deer meat is the best one because when you mark an enemy, you get that damage increase for that kind of multiplier. So if you are marking a normal enemy, you would get 2% damage against normal enemy. If you're marking a gray one, you would get 2% against gray one. So when you eat this and you open your inventory, press C, scrolling down, you will see damage bonus against targets with the bullseye 2%. Now, if you make more of these juice, you can eat it 5 times maximum. And because of that, eating it for the second time, you will gain 5% more to the base chance, which will be 2.1%. As you can see, if you ate this 4 more times, you would get 2.5% extra in total, which will cap you out. That's because as a chef class, if you craft a food buff from creative cooking and you eat it multiple times, you'll just keep getting more bonus effects. Now keep in mind that only chef class can have 2 drink buffs. Of course, if you're not a chef class, you can still get this drink buff if you make an alt account or something or whatever. But honestly, this is why I prefer to have my main account as a chef class. This only matters for builds where you cannot really like utilize whimsical drink or soup, which gives you stamina or something. So this is good for extra damage. The next food buff on the list is going to be Borscht Deluxe, or whatever however you spell this. This lets you get a meat on the drink buff, and sometimes this could be a drink buff, sometimes it could be a food buff, which is, I guess, a bug. So you craft this with your whatever meat you want. Again, deer meat is the best for the most damage if you use the secondary as bullseye weapon. So you get that, eat this, and as you can see, it goes into your drink buff, which now in total we have 5.1% extra damage when you mark. So that's crazy. Of course, you can also craft Borscht Deluxe with pristine deer meat, and I forgot to mention that any recipes that are in standard cooking, pristine will give you 5% and normal meat will give you 3%. It does say that it gives you 2% here, but that's only for creative cooking. When you do creative cooking, that will give you 2%, and it will stack up to 2.5% maximum if you eat it 5 times. Alright, moving on. That's about it for the juicy tips. Now moving on for something very unique. I'm going to show you a preset. Now this only works for treacherous builds. With 3 treacherous pieces, your HP will be sitting at 40%. Although it is not really 40%, which makes you lose damage. Here's what's happening. If you open your inventory and click C, you will see your current HP, which is 6296, and then your max total HP, which you can have 15739. So you take that 6296 divided by your max HP, which will give you this number right here. Now, if you copy this and put 1 minus this amount, as you can see, we have 05999, all of that. This means that your HP is not below 40%, but it's above 40%. So what does that mean? This means that if you are using on your shoes rush hour, as you can see, every 10% HP loss grants you 4% melee weapon and status damage. If your HP is above 40%, that means you're only utilizing 5 stacks of rush hour, which gets you 20% damage increase. And if you are below 40%, that means you will utilize 6 stacks of rush hour, which will give you 24% weapon damage. A quick example is that how do you make it less than 40%? You basically want to look out for your mods. If you have max HP substats on your mods, after you equip a mod with max HP substat or unequip or equip, you need to look and calculate your HP again. So let's unequip this one, head guard for example. Now we have 6167 HP out of 15418. So we do the same thing, 6167 divided by 15418. Now you can see that our HP is below 40%. So if I copy that, 1 minus this amount, if you're below 40% and you see the 6 number here, previously it was 5, 9, that means we are utilizing the treacherous pieces fully, which gets us 6.4, 24% weapon damage. So now again, to show you that it actually is like that, I'm gonna equip the preset again and I'm gonna shoot once. You see we do 5408, this number right here, 5408. Let's take a look at our weapon damage bonus, 87.6. See? Let's take out this mod here. And the mod that I took out doesn't have weapon damage. You see, our damage increased by 4%. And now, when we shoot, we do 5524. Now, this is not gonna like increase your damage by so much, but this is for the people who are like min-maxing and stuff. You know, you wanna deal the most damage out there. Things like these matter a lot. So conclusion, to make sure that you're dealing the most damage with your rush hour, take your HP, divide it like so. If you get this number, you'll be fine. If you get a number like this, you're also gonna be fine. But if you get a number like this, you're not, you will need to fix it. And the only way to fix this is either change mods that don't have max HP substat, or just wear armor pieces that are non-calibrated. You see we have 147.8 weapon damage, and I'm only wearing a +1 mask. The others are +6. Because if I wore a mask that is the same mask, Starful Cowhide, that was 6 calibration right here, then my damage would basically just drop 141.4. That's because, again, the same thing is happening here. Another quick thing you need to know about this is that you need to be on full hunger when you're doing this, because if you are on 0 hunger, which is literally 3 of these bars are empty, you will lose 400 HP. Next up, we have the Kukri and the Cleaver. These ones should be very obvious. Some people still don't know what the blue Kukri does, so I just call this blue Kukri, but it's called Rusted Blade. You can get the Kukri from just clearing monoliths on pro mode or hard mode. It's a slight chance to get it from both, but you just want to clear it on pro, the best way to get gold Kukri, and on hard, the best way to get the blue Kukri. What they both do is you take the Kukri in your melee, you throw an ice cube, you break that one, throw another one, break that one as well, and now you can see we have 2 buffs right here. Attack 30%, attack 30%. And when I shoot, I do 1335 blast with my boom boom. And when the buff expires, we do 711. Now, both of them is stacked, so you can break with the blue and the gold one. But if you do only one, it's going to be slightly lower, about 1084. So if you used both, you would do even more. But the reason, because if you check the weapons passive, it gives you all weapons attack multiplier 30%. Now, it's just a separate multiplier, which is 30%. Don't mind the attack, it's a bad translation. You get crit rate as well, 15%, and you get psi intensity 20%, which stacks to the same multiplier, for example, as this ammunition over here, psi intensity 15%. So with this ammo and the Kukri, you would be at 35 plus psi intensity. Now to quickly showcase it to you, you can see that this is Kukri Cleaver. Our damage is total 1,335, which you already seen. The damage with just the Cleaver is 924. Only the Kukri, our damage is 1,084. And without anything, it's 711. So I'm going to explain the multipliers. We have the Boom Boom, 300% increase, so that just goes there. We have the elemental damage bonus. We have 10% from the gold ammo, disintegrating ammo. The 15% comes from the disintegrating ammo, which already shown, and 20% from the Kukri. And then the 30% comes from the Kukri and another 30% from the Cleaver, which that's the Kukri and Cleaver, 60% multiplier. That only you get from the Kukri and Cleaver. You cannot really increase them from anywhere else. This is what boosts your damage by so much. And you basically see everyone using this in their damage showcase videos. That's why people do so much damage. But really though, you only have 10 seconds to break the ice cube, and you can see that the buff is lasting for 10 seconds, which you already have like what, 8 seconds to just DPS until it disappears. So it's good for bursting bosses down, especially if the boss has a lot of HP. So that's what you can use this for. Next up, moving on to the mods, you can see that you can equip mods on your gun, on your helmet, on your mask, on your top piece, on your pants, your gloves, and shoes. You will need to grind mods in this game if you want to do damage. You will not be able to just put mods on and be like, guys, I'm doing so much damage. That's not how this works. You're gonna have to invest and take a long time to grind for your mods. If you go to mod section right here, click mod conversion, click X here, you will click on violent or whatever suffix you want to get, and Quickly, I'm going to explain what normal enemies are, elites, and gray ones. Basically, you should watch this video. It's going to show you what it really does and what the substat means. So when you watch this video, you will know what to really do with these damage against type enemy substat. Since the scar I'm using is a crit build, you just generally want to have weapon damage and crit damage on the substats of the mod. And when it comes to the mod core effects, that's just dependent on the weapon you use. So I make a lot of build guides. I explain them in my build guide. If you guys want to see those guides, just search them on the channel. They're there. But basically, mods will play a huge role in the game. You will need them. Most of your builds will utilize the cradle, and I just want you to take time, sit down, spend 20 minutes reading what each one does. It's very simple. Armor pieces are going to play a huge role in this game as well. You can start up your armor pieces, and if you want to know how to start them up, I highly suggest you to watch this guide here. It explains everything, and if you want to know how to get fragments for them, also watch this video. But now, one trick I have for you is that if you have at least one armor piece that's 6-star, for example, this piece right here, then you just craft this piece, you go to the table, you find that armor piece, of course, you craft it, which means you already own the 6-star in your inventory. Then you can click here, blueprint conversion, put that piece right here, and then just convert it to this helmet, for example. Once you convert it, you craft a 6-star helmet, you convert from the helmet again to something else that you need to craft, and you keep doing it until you don't have converts left. That's how you can cheese your armor pieces to all 6-star until you get your conversions back. But of course, you still want to get your armor pieces to 6-star because getting them to 6-star will give you more psi intensity or HP. Here's a quick showcase what armor pieces to upgrade in orders from 1 to 3, 4, 5, 6. For psi intensity, you need to upgrade Lone Wolf Mask first, second helmet, third pants, fourth gloves, fifth toppies, and lastly shoes. And if you want to prioritize HP first, then you need to upgrade toppies first, second pants, third shoes, fourth gloves, fifth helmet, and sixth mask. If you're playing an elemental build, you will need psi intensity armor pieces, which you'll need to have at 6-star for maximum damage. If you're playing a weapon physical build, which doesn't matter for elemental damage, then you'll need to upgrade the gun to get extra damage. For example, for corrosion, it's an elemental hybrid build with physical damage, so you'll need to have both the armor 6-star and the gun 6-star. But for builds like the Scar, you will need to have the Scar only 6-star, while the armor pieces don't matter, unless you just want to get HP. The next trick we have is gun attachments. They don't matter that much, but there's still one important thing. If you go on your gun and click accessories, I'm going to unequip these attachments, but leave these two. There's the muzzle and the optic. These two attachments give you range increase, which is here. When you click I on them, you can see that the range is displayed over here. And this just shows you that the effective range is 38.4 meters, which means if you go past that, you'll deal less damage. And minimum damage you can deal is past 59.4 meters. So if you are below that, you will deal 50% less damage. The further you are, the less damage you will deal. As I get further and further, the attachments is what it's good for. If you put range attachments, you will deny that damage fall off, but it's still going to be obviously there. If I remove this together with the scope and press I again, you can see that our effective range is now lower. Of course, if you equip the suppressor and the optic, just remember the recoil is going to be higher, but it's still worth it. Now to showcase that it works, we deal 647 damage over here. Now we deal 553 damage. That's what damage fall off is, guys. Lastly, the most important thing is ammo type you use. So of course, for a beginner, the cheapest ammo is going to be steel rifle bullets for you for the start. Once you get further in the end game, you can use tungsten rifle ammo, and then after that, you can use tungsten rifle AP ammo with gunpowder. This is the cheapest ammo to make in end game, and that's what you'll be mostly using. For elemental builds like Boom Boom, you will want to use ammo like Disintegrating, because this gives you 10% more damage against gray ones, and it gives you psi intensity. While, for example, if you were using normal LMG ammo with gunpowder, you would be getting damage per shot, which you don't want. That's for physical builds. That just increases your attack multiplier by 15% for your bullet damage, not for your elemental damage. Always make sure to use Disintegrating for Boom Boom, Frost, or Frost Vortex if you're using these two guns. You can see here it does more damage to targets affected by burn or Frost Vortex. When it comes to physical damage builds, you want to use smart ammo, which will give you, when you trigger a shrapnel, bounce, or the bullseye, you will get increased attack by 10% for 3 seconds. And you get an extra damage per shot 15%, which in total you will get 25% for that physical damage build. And there's no psi intensity, as you can see. So smart rifle ammo is kind of costly because you need electronic parts for it, but it is the best one for monoliths. For silos, in silos there are different types of ammo you can use because, for example, the suppression ammo, in silos this works, and this is the best ammo because this gives you 25% damage against deviants, which is stacking to the enemy type damage, and you also get shield damage as well, which is 30% extra. Then you also get psi intensity 50%, and you get damage per shot 15% too. So basically you get everything in one. And yeah, this is good against deviants, not Rosetta or vultures. For Rosetta and vultures, you need to use control unit penetration ammo. For silos, this also works outside the world, not just in silos, but if you're going to be using the suppression ammo, remember, it doesn't work on bosses in monoliths, only in silo bosses. Silo bosses are gray ones if it has a huge HP bar. If it doesn't have a huge HP bar, then it's just a side boss, which is an elite. And monoliths are also gray one bosses. Now for the food buffs, I will leave a sheet link which food buffs are the best, which can be used for PvE and PvP. So everything that's marked in green are mostly the best. Marked in slight green yellowish here, not really the best but usable. 3 is like poor but still usable somewhere, and 4 is like completely garbage and useless. This will be in the description that you can find, or just join my Discord. In Once Human Sheets channel, you'll find full list of all my sheets that I have uploaded. But really, food buffs play a huge role in the game, and if you don't buff with food buffs in this game, your damage will suffer by a lot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, make sure to join my Discord or leave a comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace out.